Quick disclaimer that while I will not be spoiling any of the story, I will be talking about game mechanics that are not available from the start. Also, sorry about the gameplay clips. My pre-clear save was at the final boss, and I couldn't go back to replay levels at that point, so this is just from the beginning of the game. I plan on getting P5 Tactica since it was announced and had a few friends that were interested in it, but wanted to wait to hear my verdict since they knew I was getting it. Reviews seemed a little mixed pre-release, but I saw a lot of 8 out of 10s and even some 9 out of 10s, so I was pretty hopeful that this would be a solid game. Now that I've completed all the levels in the base game, as well as the Repaint Your Heart DLC, I wanted to quickly share my thoughts if you two are on the fence. Let me start off by simply saying no, I do not recommend this game. When you look at the trailers and style of it, you probably think it's going to be a strategic XCOM-like experience, but that is not the case. I decided to play on hard to try and give myself a little challenge since I had just played Fire Emblem Three Houses a few months ago, but even then it was easy, to the point that I think even someone completely new to the genre would find it easy. As seems to be in more modern Persona fashion, you get a lot of tools to succeed, but the mission objectives are really forgiving and easy in the first place, so that it's just overkill. One may be clear the level in 10 turns, but then you'll be able to do it in 5 or less, and that's not an uncommon thing. The main gameplay loop is trying to break an opponent's cover, knock them down, and then create the biggest triangle you can with the downed enemy in it to deal a ton of damage to everything inside that triangle. As making a triangle may have hinted at, you can only bring 3 characters into each fight. This changes a little towards the end and you get a 4th character that you can't swap out, but I don't want to get into that for story reasons, especially since it doesn't really change the gameplay loop at all. Only having 3 characters means the game is pretty limited on what it can do, otherwise you would just feel overwhelmed and outnumbered. On the topic of what the game can do, I actually quite like most of the mechanics and think they are inherently fun, but they are just way too basic. Regarding cover, you can either be uncovered, half covered, or fully covered as far as damage calculation goes, but half and full coverage are the same mechanically. Units that are in any kind of cover take reduced damage from gun attacks and need to have their cover broken either by a melee attack or skill. Also, for some reason, if someone is covered and you move behind them to shoot them in the back of the head, that still counts as them being covered. What makes it even more ridiculous is that there is an enemy type that works the way cover should work. Blocked if you are attacking from the direction they are facing, and weak from the sides and behind. Why the hell does coverage not work that way in general? Other parts of the game include each character having their own skill tree that you get to put points into, which is pretty cool, except that it doesn't matter at all because they don't change the way you play. Like the triangle attack I mentioned being Tactica's all-out attack, One More and Baton Pass have also been translated to this game. You get a One More whenever you knock a character down, which lets you move and act again, while Baton Pass lets you swap to one of the characters you did not bring to the fight if someone falls in battle. The amount of Baton Passes you get depends on the difficulty you selected, but I don't remember the number because I never had anyone die. Another difference between difficulties is that hard and merciless turn on friendly fire, but again, it doesn't matter because you will probably never be in danger of dying. There were many times I moved characters near enemies just to maximize movement and the potential triangle size, not caring that I would be hitting them with other character attacks. In other games in this genre, that would almost certainly lead into getting that character killed and having a good chance to fail the mission, but not here. Other mechanics include being able to change each character's gun, and there are different shooting patterns. For example, Joker is single target, while Haru is AoE in a 3x3 area centered on the selected target. You get introduced to being able to buy new guns, but that very quickly becomes obsolete because you shortly after get the ability to fuse new guns using personas, and they are way better. And wow, fusion in this game sucks, and that's a really big detriment for me since it's usually my favorite part of these games. Each character has their main persona and can equip a sub-persona. You get new personas by clearing levels, and I think there were 2 optional levels that also had persona rewards. The sub-persona gives stats and skills, except each persona can only have 2 skills, with only one of them being able to be inherited. And since elemental weaknesses aren't a thing, instead replaced by other effects such as the Garu line blowing enemies away, you're only going to be using passive skills, but even then I don't think they really do much. The only ones I ever thought may be useful were ones that increased gun range, but I'm not sure how much it actually changed. One last issue I had was how bad the final boss fight was. It's a slog, and since you are never at risk of actually losing, it just feels bad to play. It's really frustrating to me how basic most of the game is because it has some good and dare I say great points despite what I've said so far. While the story is very clearly another Persona 5 story thematically, I thought it was solid and I liked the new characters as well as the fact that Lavenza had a personality this time. The Repaint Your Heart DLC story was also good. What makes me even more frustrated though is that there are some great levels, so I know the designers have it in them. The levels that were more like puzzles and required you to use mechanics to do things in a single turn, whether that's wipe the board or get to a specific location, are by far where the game shines, but there are very few of those and I think they were all optional. The final DLC challenge level is a great example of this, and is by far my favorite level in the entire game. I uploaded gameplay of it and will link it if you're curious to see what a good level looks like. Atlus doesn't seem to care much about this game with all the marketing focusing on Persona Reload, reasonably so, but if it does manage to get people modding it and making custom levels, I think they could be pretty fun. The mechanics are basic, but there is enough there to make some solid levels, and if Atlus decided to release another game like this, I'd be interested. Much rather have a Devil Survivor 3 though. Now I do think there are people that will enjoy this game. If you don't care about gameplay and just want to experience another Persona 5 story, this game has that. And you'll probably enjoy it because it's not bad, it's just disappointing as a strategy RPG. The base game and DLC took me a little under 30 hours to complete, and it was $80 altogether right now, so it's up to you to draw the line. I'm sure this game will be at least 50% off soon. If you were on the fence about P5 Tactica, hope this video helped you make your decision.